This is the story of Ryu, the strongest hunter on Earth, who dies because he was a single virgin loot. In the previous episode, we saw how after getting his ass kicked by Ryu, Young Min was getting frustrated at his home. All his friends, one by one, cut ties with him because due to Young Min, all their stats got reduced by half. Then, the bodyguard reported all the details of the events that happened in round 3. As he recounted how Ryu single-handedly slaughtered the Divine Punisher, Heavenly Demon became really curious and wanted to meet this black scythe at any cost. Then, something unexpected happened. A person named Ryu bought a whopping 31% share of Heavenly Demon's company, shocking him. Heavenly Demon called Ryu to have a meeting with him, without knowing he was the same guy, Black Scythe, whom he wanted to meet. Ryu, on the other hand, was getting ready to kill the asshole who kidnapped Wani and tortured him. The next day, he went into a deserted factory at night. As Ryu walked, he explained that there are many ways to obtain a skill rune. Until now, people believed that skill runes could only be found inside dungeons after fulfilling special conditions, such as killing the Divine Punisher. In extremely rare cases, one could get a skill rune by killing normal mobs under certain conditions, like killing 100 virgin goblins while still being a virgin on a full moon night. However, this wasn't the only way. Skill runes could also be obtained in the real world. Ryu reached a deserted factory as he continued to explain. He secretly entered the factory and clarified that the time had finally come for him to confront the person who had kidnapped Wani in his previous life. Ryu went inside the factory and sat beside some boxes, waiting patiently. He explained that a person named Zhang would come there, a morally corrupt man who had killed Wani 9 times. Ryu couldn't do anything but cry in pain in those past lives. Now, Ryu intended to torture him in such a way that he would beg to be killed. Ryu was determined that anyone in the world who even thought of harming Wani would face his wrath, even if they were a god. So guys, today's like goal is 8,800 likes. Please like and subscribe to support the channel from your ass. Then we jump back to a flashback of Ryu, where for the first time the morally corrupt man kidnapped Wani and brought him to this very same factory. Wani's eyes were covered with a black cloth, and Zhang was holding an ice dagger threatening Ryu. He demanded Ryu spill all the details about future events, or he would kill Wani with a wicked smile. Naive Ryu, on the other hand, didn't know what to do. He tried to pretend he was clueless, questioning how he could possibly know what's going to happen in the future. Hearing this, Zhang started to laugh maniacally. Then his expression turned sinister, and with a deadly look, he accused Ryu, "Don't lie, you mommy milker. I know you're a regressor." Hearing this, Ryu panicked. The only person he had told he was a regressor was Wani, and he knew Wani would never reveal this under any circumstance. So how? As Ryu reeled in immense shock and tension, Zhang, continuing with his wicked smile, explained that he possessed the skill of inner thought, allowing him to read anyone's mind. Wow, if I had that skill, I'd be a banger in bed with my girlfriend. Now back to the story. Ryu was tortured by the sight of Wani being kidnapped and killed 11 times in his first 11 lives, even though he never told Wani that he was a regressor. One way or another, Zhang always ended up discovering that Ryu was a regressor. In the end, Wani always ended up kidnapped and killed, even after Ryu divulged all the details about the future. This was because Zhang was a morally corrupt, violent criminal who knew nothing but violence. Now back to the present. Ryu was wearing a white, creepy mask, while explaining that this was the only reason he was killing the king of shit each and every time, before he ended up kidnapping Wani in each of his regressions, and this was his 100th time. This time, Ryu's mission was not only to kill Zhang by torturing him, but also to acquire the skill of inner thought. Just then, Zhang entered the factory, carrying a woman tied with ropes over his shoulders from the back. He forcefully threw the woman onto a mattress he had prepared in advance for all his victims, those he brought here to satisfy his naughty need. With a creepy voice, while removing the tape from the woman's mouth, Zhang said he was going to remove the tape so she wouldn't yell. The woman was terrified, shivering in fear. As soon as Zhang removed the tape, the woman, with a trembling voice, started to beg for mercy. She repeatedly pleaded to be spared, but Zhang, sitting casually and with a laugh, replied that was all she had to say once he let her talk. She should say something dirty and sexy. Then Zhang's expression turned a bit creepy. His aura became sinister, and with a deadly look, he said, "Save me, I have a kid, or I will give you as much money as you need." But this plea was futile. The only thing Zhang wanted was to have his twisted form of fun with her. Then Zhang threw the tape backward and with a serious tone asked the woman if she knew why this was happening to her. The woman, even more terrified, joined both of her hands. Still with her trembling voice, she replied that Jang is probably doing this because she glared at him the other day. That day, Jang had offered her to spend a night with him, and she's really sorry for rejecting him, explaining she's married with a kid. How could she sleep with another man? That's why she rejected his offer, not because he looked like a piece of shit. Hearing this, Jang got even more pissed off. He remembered that day and how he felt so damn shitty when she rejected him. Then we go back 2 days to when all this started. Jang was just walking on the street searching for a girl to have fun with. Yeah, Jang is a big pervert. Just then, he noticed a pretty girl walking beside him. After checking her out, Jang commented on her nice body. He followed her as she walked into a dark, less crowded alley. Jang activated his skill, and his whole body started to glow, startling the girl. In panic, she dropped her phone. The light was so intense that her vision went dark, and she became blind for a moment, panicked and trying to comprehend what was happening, but Jang, taking advantage of this situation, grabbed the girl's boobs. And well, you know what happened next. After having his twisted fun with the girl, Jang, with a sinister smile, quickly made his escape before she could regain her vision. He casually mentioned how he enjoyed doing this with different girls every night, reveling in his sadistic acts. He explained that just a few months ago, his life had been rather dull after his release from jail. He didn't care whether he lived or died until that fateful day when a hot angel transported him to another world and granted him a skill that allowed him to temporarily blind anyone. It was then that he realized the sinister potential of this newfound ability. Returning to the present, Jang decided to visit a store to buy some coffee. In the store, a woman in her mid-30s welcomed him with a warm smile. As soon as he saw her face, he couldn't help but once again laugh wickedly, thinking about her attractive appearance and curvaceous body. Approaching the counter, he ordered an Americano, and she, still maintaining her warm smile and polite tone, informed him that the Americano would be ready in a few minutes and that the total bill was 5,000 won. With a wicked smile and a lustful demeanor, Jang handed the woman the money and inquired if she was new here. He mentioned that he was a regular visitor to the cafe but had never seen her before. The woman, still maintaining her smile but sighing softly, explained that due to the current chaos in the world, all the part-timers had left the shop, so she had taken up the vacant position. She apologized for not recognizing him earlier as she was new to the cafe. Then, maintaining his flirting tone, Jang asked the woman if she was the owner of this cafe. She, while bringing the Americano, replied, yes, she is the owner. Then Jang playfully asked how old she was, noting she looked quite young and pretty. She replied she's 32 years old. Jang, again with an ugly smile, asked if that meant she wasn't a player. She replied yes, she wasn't, gladly stating she wouldn't have to live with the constant fear of dying every month. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Jang, maintaining his ugly smile and shit-like face, said with a lustful look that he really liked the cafe woman and asked if she'd go out with him. Hearing this, she got a little confused and paused for a moment to process what she just heard and what to say. While she was standing still like a statue with a confused look, Jang, seeing this, got really pissed off. Banging his hand on the counter, he asked if his face was that ugly that she was making this type of face while staring at him. Was she disgusted just because he had a few spots on his face? If she was, she's a huge dummy, as his banana is really huge, and she would beg Jang to go out with him every night once she rides Jang's banana. Hearing this, the cafe woman really felt disgusted and didn't say anything. Seeing this, Jang got even more pissed off and punched the counter, declaring he wouldn't be drinking coffee here anymore. He demanded his money back, saying she was really an ugly old hag and she should fuck off. Now, hearing this, the cafe woman got a little scared, thinking Jang was a psycho who might do something unthinkable. With trembling hands, she returned the money. Jang forcefully took the money from her hand and furiously left the store, calling her a bitch. He ranted about how she was looking down on others just because she was a little hot and he had some spots on his face. Jang vowed to make her pay for looking down on him. After that, he followed the cafe woman for 2 days. When she was in a silent, dark alley, Jang struck her head with an iron bat and brought her to this deserted factory. Now, back in the present, the cafe woman was still begging, joining her hands and bowing while trembling. Jang was enjoying the scene, seeing her begging and getting scared. Then after some time, Jang turned back, saying this wasn't fun as she wasn't being sincere enough and not begging sincerely. He pushed her back onto the mattress, and she fell to the floor. Jiang held her hand and opened his pants zip, stating he knew everything, that she was only pretending to apologize to get out of the situation, and she still didn't like Jiang. He asserted that only by riding his banana and enjoying the night could she prove that she was really sorry. This, he declared, was her punishment. While the cafe woman continued to beg and cry, Ryu from the shadows slowly walked forward with his black scythe. Then Jiang's facial expression really became sinister and full of lust. Lust was just dripping from his face as he began his play by removing her bra. But just then, a deep footstep echoed through the entire hall. Hearing the sound, Jiang got startled, and fear covered his entire body. He panicked, thinking that he thought this place was deserted. Why was there a person here? He wondered if this person was a detective who had followed him to arrest him. In panic, he turned back, shouting, "Who is it?" while cursing whoever was there. Ryu, while holding his black scythe on his shoulder and walking sideways, said in a deep tone not to curse and not to waste his energy by shouting. He told Jiang he would be cursing and shouting a lot, so he should save his energy. Seeing Ryu, wearing a white mask and carrying this huge-ass scythe, Jiang started to think who this guy might be. Then he realized that he was not a detective or police, as no police or detective would come here hiding their face. So Jiang, continuing with his trashy personality, said, "Does Ryu think this is a place to play with that toy of his?" He said that now Ryu had seen Jiang's face, so Ryu had to pay the price by dying. As he continued to spew his bullshit, Ryu just listened with a silent face. Then, after hearing Jiang's bullshit, Ryu finally raised his black scythe with a deadly look, saying it looked like Jiang hadn't figured out the situation yet. While swinging his black scythe with great force, Ryu said, "Does this look like a toy? If yeah, then Ryu will be putting this toy of his into Jiang's ass, and he'll make sure Jiang enjoys it." Just the swing was enough to create a small shockwave around Ryu. Seeing this, Jiang realized that the black scythe was indeed real. Then Ryu turned towards the cafe woman and, politely addressing her as ma'am, said she could leave now, and he would take care of this king of shit. She, still trembling and joining her hands, first paused for a moment, then tried to get up. But before she could do anything, Jiang shoutingly turned towards the cafe woman and started yelling at her in a loud voice. He demanded to know on whose permission she was trying to get up, asking if he had given her permission to go. This made her tremble in fear even more. Now, having had enough of Jiang's bullshit, Ryu dashed towards Jiang with his black scythe. Jiang also got alert and got ready to defend himself. But even before he could react, bam! Ryu popped Jiang's balls by giving a good hit to Jiang's balls. The pain was so intense that for a moment, his breath stopped. His whole body felt like it was on fire and getting electric shocks all over. Then Jiang fell on the floor, holding his little PP, screaming in pain. His whole body was shivering, and he was cursing Ryu. Ryu stood with a satisfied look, watching Jiang in pain, and reminded him that he had just said a moment before that Jiang would be swearing his ass off. He told Jiang this was just the beginning, and just like before, he should save his energy. Ryu, once again, turned toward the cafe lady and said now was the time for her to leave. He advised the lady not to talk about what happened outside and to act like nothing happened. The cafe lady, after seeing Ryu, got so scared that it felt like her soul had left her body. With a shaky voice, she thanked Ryu and, in an instant, started running toward the exit. Ryu, swinging his black scythe downward, turned his attention back to Jiang. He said that now, in this deserted factory, there were only the two of them, so they could enjoy the entire night without anyone interfering. Jiang was still kneeling on the ground, holding his little PP, still shaking in pain. The pain was so intense that it was getting hard for him to even breathe. After watching Jiang moan in pain for a while, Ryu's facial expression became really sinister, and he gave a creepy smile, saying, "Now, shall we begin the real game, shall we?" Then Jiang got furious, veins starting to foam on his face. His eyes widened as if they would pop out any moment now. He continued to curse Ryu, saying he would kill him and prepared to attack while holding his dagger. Ryu, seeing this, let out a slight laugh, saying he liked Jiang's reaction. He mentioned it's no fun to torture and kill someone who has left the hope to live. One who wants to live and has ego, it's his favorite thing to break that ego. Jiang, seeing Ryu smiling, had enough of Ryu. With one hand on his little PP and the other hand holding the dagger, he charged towards Ryu to kill him while shouting and screaming. Jiang dashed towards Ryu and started a barrage of attacks with his ice dagger. But Ryu just dodged all the attacks. Jiang continued to attack Ryu. After a moment, Jang was really getting frustrated, thinking how the hell Ryu was dodging all his attacks like he could see the future. He was getting sweaty and more frustrated. Ryu, still dodging the attacks like playing with a 2-year-old kid, commented laughingly that he couldn't believe Jang was still carrying that shitty ice dagger that a goblin holds that everyone has in round 1. Now, at this moment, Ryu had enough play. So the next moment, Ryu jumped beside Jang, and just as Jang stretched his hand to attack Ryu with his dagger, Ryu, in a single slash, chopped off Jang's hand. Now, blood was splattering from Jang's hands like a fountain. Jang, seeing this blood, first got a panic attack. Then, as the pain kicked in, he started to scream his lungs out, just standing there not knowing what to do. His whole body was trembling, and Ryu was just watching this scene with an enjoyable mood, getting happy seeing the morally corrupted king of shit crying in pain. Then, Ryu tauntingly asked Jang, "Does it hurt, huh?" He said if it does, Jang should brace himself as he hadn't even started yet. It's just the trailer. Jang, at this moment, still in immense pain, grinding his teeth, his face turning pale, holding his hand with his other hand to stop the blood from splattering, realized he was fucked up. But before he could even take a breath, Ryu just vanished from his position and, in an instant, dashed toward poor Jang. Whoosh! Ryu slashed Jang's other hand also in a swift slash, and Jang couldn't do anything but scream like a donkey. Blood was just splattering from both of his hands, his vision was getting blurry, and he was feeling dizzy. His whole body was on fire, and fear overtook his mind. Jang was scared to his core, thinking at this rate Ryu would really kill him like a chicken getting slaughtered for dinner. And if he really wanted to live, first he would have to use his ability to blind Ryu, then he would run for his life, depending on it. Then Jang glared at Ryu for a moment, and seeing that Ryu was just standing there watching and getting happy from Jang's screaming, he saw an opportunity. Jang instantly activated his skill while screaming and cursing Ryu. Jang's whole body started to glow, and at that moment he decided before running he would at least pop Ryu's fucking eyes. He shouted, "Die, you fucking shit!" But the next moment, something unexpected happened. His body, which was glowing, slowly saw its light start to dim, and then his entire body's glow began to fade, effectively canceling his skill. Jang got confused, thinking, what the hell is happening here? Then, with a jolt of realization, he understood that whatever the reason, his skill didn't work, and now he was going to die. On top of that, he had just cursed Ryu, saying he would kill him, so there was no room for even begging. Thinking this, he was dripping with sweat while grinding his teeth. Ryu, still laughing under his mask, explained that Jang's shining skill would not work on Ryu, as no light on Earth could even come near him. Ryu knew this would happen, so in advance, he had cast his skill Night of Death that he acquired in round 3. By using it, he could command the darkness, ensuring no fucking light on Earth could even come near him. Then Ryu once again prepared his black scythe to attack Jang. Jang was so scared that he felt he might shit his pants any moment now. Even before Jang could do anything, whoosh! The next moment, Ryu, in an instant, cold-heartedly, in a swift slash, chopped both of Jang's legs like cutting butter. For a moment, Jang didn't even realize what happened, and he was just standing there. The next moment, his torso got separated from his legs, and his balance was lost. Jang fell down on the floor while screaming. Just like before, Ryu was just watching this beautiful scene from behind, enjoying it. Now, Jang's spirit finally broke. He, while dragging his body, came close to Ryu while crying. His whole body was trembling, and at this moment, so much blood was lost from his body that his whole body was turning pale. Cryingly, Jang asked Ryu why the hell he was doing this to him, addressing Ryu as a demon. Just hearing the word "why," Ryu got really pissed off. First, he raised his black scythe high, and with a pinch, stabbed and punctured Jang's left leg, while continuing to make multiple holes on Jang's body and piercing his black scythe with a break. He said, "Why do people kill mosquitoes? Because letting them live, they will at the end come to suck people's blood, so it's better to kill them even before they bite." Now at this moment, Jang, who had lost his will, still had tears in his eyes. He was really getting frustrated, saying that Ryu is a psychopath, and asking if he had run out from a mental asylum. Ryu, hearing this, again laughed, saying it looked like a little bit of spirit was still dwelling inside Jang. He wondered how long Jang could keep this attitude of his. With that, Ryu continued to puncture Jang's body with his black scythe. Jang continued to scream, and Ryu took his sweet time to slowly make so many holes in Jang's body, just like he said he would, so that Jang would get confused about from which hole he would fart and from which hole he would breathe. After a few minutes, Jang had finally lost it, as Ryu was not hitting any vitals and was attacking Jang in such a way that he stayed awake while feeling this hellish pain. Jang started to think about what grudge Ryu had against him. Now, at this moment, the last bit of spirit just left Jang's body. Saliva was coming out from his mouth, mucus from his nose. He was crying, thinking of just killing himself, as it was better to die than to suffer this hellish torture. Then, after gathering some courage, Jang finally decided to kill himself by biting his tongue. He closed his eyes, opened his mouth while sticking his tongue out, and prepared to bite his tongue. But before he could bite his tongue, Ryu stopped him by placing his black scythe near his neck, startling him. Jang slowly turned his gaze upward, seeing Ryu. Ryu, furious with a deep, chilling voice, asked, "What's wrong? Is Jang planning to die by biting his tongue? Does Jang think Ryu will just let him die this easily?" The next moment, Ryu, continuing with his cold aura, raised his black scythe and swish, pierced Jang's shoulder, and again blood started to splatter. Ryu declared he would not let Jang die until he made Jang beg on his knees for death. Jang could do nothing but scream, and once again Ryu began his piercing game. He continued to stab again and again on all parts of Jang's body, from his ass to shoulder to even his little pee-pee. Ugh, just by seeing it, I am feeling a little dizzy. Well, anyways, at this moment, Jang had lost his mind. He was just lying on his back, barely alive but still feeling the hellish pain. Tears were not stopping from coming out of his eyes, and blood was coming from his nose. With a shaky voice, Jang was begging to get killed and die. At this point, even I am feeling a little bad for him. Then Ryu, hearing this, asked Jang to say it again, as he hadn't heard what Jang said. Jang, still with a shaky voice, said, "Kill me, please." Ryu just watched him begging to get killed with a satisfying look. Then, after some time, Ryu, finally feeling satisfied, withdrew his black scythe. Placing his black scythe on his shoulder, Ryu, with a joyful tone, said Jang didn't know why he was doing this to him, right? To Jang, Ryu was a total stranger, and Jang, at this moment, was in such a state that he just glared at Ryu, not even able to say anything. Then Ryu continued, telling Jang that Ryu might be a total stranger. But to Ryu, Jang was not. He was a guy because of whom Ryu got nightmares at one point. Now, hearing this and realizing Ryu even knew his name, Jang started to think who even Ryu was. With his shaky voice, he asked if Ryu was someone who was related to the cafe woman, or anyone he had fun with in the last few months. Ryu smilingly replied that he had no connection with any woman. Hearing this, Jang asked then why Ryu was doing this to him. Ryu finally revealed the truth, saying Jang kidnapped his little precious brother and threatened Ryu to give Jang the hidden information he had. Hearing this, Jang was shocked, saying he didn't even know who Ryu was, let alone about his little brother. Now, hearing this, Ryu laughingly commented, "Of course Jang doesn't know it because it's an incident that will happen in the future. After 15 days from today, Jang will kidnap his little brother and then torture him and then kill him. And there's a second reason Ryu is doing all this to Jang, to acquire the ruin of inner thought. Today was the day Jang was destined to acquire the skill inner thought." Hearing this, Jang was confused, asking, "What the hell is Ryu talking about?" Ryu explained that today, Jang would have raped the cafe woman, and after begging from her heart for Jang not to do it, Jang would have gotten the ruin of inner thought. The condition to get the ruin of inner thought was that, in this exact deserted factory, a person had to beg from his heart, and the person to whom the person will beg will get the ruin of inner thought. After acquiring this inner thought, Jang will become the biggest criminal the world will ever see. So Ryu was just doing his job, removing a bug from this already messed up world. As Ryu continued to explain, Jang just listened with a bewildered expression. Ryu continued to explain that in his past 99 lives, even when Ryu tried his best not to come face to face with Jang, one way or another, Jang always ended up finding out about Ryu that he is a repressor, and each and every time, Jang kidnapped his little brother and killed him. So Jang is really a morally corrupted individual who deserves to just die. Hearing this, Jang said if he really deserved to die, then just quickly kill him, as he couldn't bear the pain anymore. But Ryu replied, "Nope, I'm not even going to touch a single hair of Jang now." Hearing this, Jang's whole world turned upside down. He started to scream and cry even more, saying he just wanted to die now, and started to beg greatly. Ryu, having heard enough of this, raised the handle of his black scythe and placed it on Jang's mouth to shut him up. With a cold, chilling aura while glaring at Jang, Ryu said, "Now, I will not do anything. I, Ryu, will just sit here and watch Jang die slowly. tortured by the pain. Jang's vision finally became dark. He was not able to feel his arms or legs, but the pain was not going away. He was trembling in pain, thinking if Ryu really wanted the ruin of inner thought, he would want him alive, right? So why was Ryu giving him such a hellish punishment? Ryu then replied that he was not letting him speak because he wanted to test the skill inner thought. Hearing this, Jang's eyes widened, and Ryu explained that just a moment ago, he finally got the skill inner thought. Ryu was just testing the skill, so he was really sorry for that. As just a moment ago, Jang really begged from his heart to get killed. At that moment, Ryu got the skill. Then we go back a few moments to when Ryu got the skill inner thought. As soon as he acquired the skill, the system notified him that he had obtained the skill inner thought. The system explained that by observing the target, Ryu could hear the inner thoughts of his target, and he could only read the thoughts of the person when the target is within 30 meters of him. Now, back to the present, Ryu, still placing his black scythe's handle on Jang's mouth, said he was just testing the skill to see if it was working properly or not, and it looks like it is working. Jang, in his mind, thought that since Ryu finally got what he wanted, he once again begged Ryu to kill him. But Ryu, continuing with his cold aura while glaring, said, "Nah, I can't kill Jang so easily. That would be too unfair for all the victims of Jang's." Hearing this, Jang could do nothing but grind his teeth, trying to chew the handle of the black scythe while thinking Ryu is a damn demon. After half an hour, Jang finally slowly dies. Then Ryu stood up, glaring at Jang with a satisfying look as if he had won a war. He then used the skill Erase Traces that he bought in round 3. By using it, he could erase all the traces of blood, corpse, fingerprints, or anything. Just like that, a green aura surrounded Jang's body, and in an instant, Jang's body started to disappear. After a moment, everything was clear. Jang's body disappeared. Not a single hair of Jang was left. Then Ryu finally took off his mask, turned back, and while walking outside the factory said, "Now it's time to meet the heavenly demon." Now, after dealing with Jang, Ryu was getting ready to meet the heavenly demon. He wore a formal black shirt with a black coat and a gray tie. His hair was styled just right. Seeing Ryu dressed like this, Wani also got shocked and in awe. He asked Ryu if he was going on a date with a girl, keeping his hand on his mouth in shock. He was himself surprised at how his virgin brother could look so hot. Ryu turned toward Wani and paused for a moment, as he may be the god of death, but he is a total loser when it comes to dating. So Ryu, with a sweet smile, replied, "Nope, I'm not." Wani asked this because Ryu just wore this black suit out of nowhere. Ryu, still with a sweet smile, explained that it's because he has an important meeting with someone, and it's not a girl, it's for a business-related thing. Wani, a little concerned, asked if Ryu was starting a business. Ryu, with a slight smile and holding his iPhone 21 Pro Max Ultra Giga Max Edition, nodded in response. Hearing this, Wani scratched his head and got a little worried. He thought about how Ryu had invested all his money in stocks last time, and now he was trying to start a business. Wani was really concerned for Ryu, as what if his business failed and didn't work out? From a young age, Ryu wasn't good at studies, let alone running a small candy shop. But Wani decided to trust Ryu. Then Ryu turned his attention toward Wani and noticed that Wani was panicking and worrying. Seeing this, Ryu smiled a little and sighed. He wondered if Wani was getting worried, thinking he wouldn't do well in business or get too busy again. But seeing Wani like this, he realized how cute and adorable he could be at times like this. To ease Wani's worry, Ryu pointed his thumb towards him and replied with a confident smile that he would tell all the details about the business after he's done talking with the person he was going to meet. So Wani didn't have to worry too much and should just trust his big brother. This business idea, too, Ryu had seen in his dream, and the old man with a pig on his head had told him about it. So just like always, it would work out. Wani, hearing this, got a little embarrassed and with a panicked voice replied that, of course, he trusted his big bro. Who else could he trust if not Ryu? It was just that the whole world was in chaos, so business seemed too risky, that's all. Ryu, while keeping his phone in his pocket while walking toward the door, replied that if Wani really trusted Ryu, then he should be a good kid and wait at home and not go out until Ryu returned home, because it's not safe outside the building due to some players turned criminals who gained powers and were committing heinous crimes in broad daylight. As Ryu was heading toward the door, Wani also followed him with a worried face and his arms crossed. He mentioned that he saw this in the news, that the whole world was in utter chaos. Players, after gaining powers, were starting to misuse them and committing crimes. The worst part was that some criminals in jail had also gained powers, and now they had broken out of jail, remaining openly in the city. The crime rate was soaring and outside was no longer safe. Ryu, with a serious face, replied that yes, as long as a human was of the right age, they would become a player, and not all people would use their powers for good. That's why at any cost, Wani couldn't go outside. Wani listened to Ryu carefully and nodded in agreement. Then Ryu's facial expression became serious, thinking and explaining that every month the number of players would go down, but the remaining players would become even stronger than before. In the future, the crimes happening now would be child's play compared to what would happen in the future. In the future, players would dominate the world in such a way that not even the government would be able to do anything, and the players would start to enslave the non-players and do whatever they want. An era where players would be considered king, and no laws would be able to bind them. Ryu became even more serious, and explained that before the city turned into that lawless place, he had to become so strong that just his name would be enough to scare the shit out of each and every player, so that they would think 100 times before even taking a shit, let alone committing crime. As Ryu came close to the exit door, he once again told Wani to be careful, and Wani said yes, he would. But he asked Ryu when Ryu was going to tell him what his class is. He was really curious. Ryu replied that it's a secret, and Wani pouted and sighed, insisting that Ryu tell him. He said he wouldn't let Ryu go until he found out. Ryu, hearing this while pinching Wani's cheek, scolded him. He said he would tell about his class and powers very soon, so Wani should stop whining and eat his lunch. He also told Wani to order something expensive and not the usual black bean soup noodle. Wani should eat something healthy and grow stronger. Wani, with his cheeks stretched, wobbly replied, "Gwa in," trying to say, "Got it." The scene shifted, and we see Ryu standing in front of a huge building. With a slight smile, Ryu said, "I knew it. Heavenly Demon would call me to this hotel. It's advantageous to play on their home turf." As Ryu entered the hotel, he explained that the hotel was under the name of Osung Group, but the original owner was Heavenly Demon. It served as his personal hideout and secret base, a fact known only to Ryu. As Ryu approached the counter, he tried to appear like a naive newcomer, intending to make Heavenly Demon let his guard down in front of him. Finally, he reached the counter, wearing a nervous expression and looking around. He said he had a meeting scheduled there today, and he was told to check in at the counter upon arrival. He started to fumble with his word. The receptionist, wearing a warm smile, asked, "Are you here to meet the CEO of Heavenly Demon Consulting?" Ryu, still shaking and nervous, replied, "Yes." The receptionist then guided Ryu to an empty room, instructing him to sit on the sofa and wait. She assured him that the CEO would arrive soon. Ryu, still fumbling and nervous, said, "Okay." He then bowed his head with a warm smile and thanked the receptionist. Then Ryu continues with his Oscar-level acting, trying to look like a loser. He looks left and right, slowly sits on the sofa, trying to act like he is overwhelmed and nervous. Then, with a straight expression, he looks at the ceiling and exclaims, "Whoa, the chandelier's so cool!" Just then, a voice asks if he's Ryu Min. Yup, it was their bodyguard. Ryu, trying to act startled, hurriedly stands up, saying yes he is and greeting him. The bodyguard, upon seeing Ryu, gets a little confused and pauses for a moment, noticing how much of a loser Ryu appears to be. He realizes that Ryu is the exact guy whom he met a few months back when he came with his little brother to give rice cakes. On that day, he rudely shooed Ryu away. With a slightly shocked and confused face, the bodyguard asks Ryu if they have met before to confirm if he really is the same person. Ryu confirms and says yes. He thinks Ryu saw the bodyguard when he and his little brother were giving rice cakes to all the neighbors in the building. Then Ryu saw the bodyguard with the actress Ahrin. Realizing that Ryu is the person he showed away that day, the bodyguard first bows his head and then apologizes, saying he is really sorry for being rude that day. While bowing his head, he is really confused and a little frustrated, thinking that the kid in front of him doesn't even look like he is 20 years old. So how the hell did he invest 280 billion wons in the company and become a major shareholder? Then Ryu thought, as expected, the bodyguard is suspicious of him, which would be a natural reaction since someone in his 20s couldn't have that much money. So it's natural. Ryu continued his act, holding his neck and with a warm smile, his hand slightly lower, giving a submissive vibe. He politely replied that it's okay after all. The bodyguard acted that way because he didn't know Ryu. Ryu himself didn't know that the CEO of the Heavenly Demon was living just above his floor. The bodyguard, upon seeing Ryu, thought he was the Heavenly Demon and explained not to misunderstand as he is not the CEO. With a serious face, he introduced himself as Shang-Chiel, the department head and the bodyguard of Arin. He mentioned that the CEO was busy in a meeting, which is why he came to greet and receive Ryu. The CEO would be coming in just a few minutes. The bodyguard asked Ryu to come and follow him inside to wait, and Ryu, still acting nervous, replied fumblingly, "Okay." Then the bodyguard left the room, and Ryu sat on the chair. As soon as the bodyguard left the room, he instantly opened his phone and started messaging the heavenly demon, writing that he just met Ryu. But Ryu doesn't look like a person capable of investing that big of money. On top of this, Ryu is really a loser and naive, and he can't be someone smart. It's highly likely that someone else is above Ryu, giving Ryu instructions to do all this. The heavenly demon has to be careful. Ryu, from behind, was watching this from behind. Then Ryu, seeing this, smiled a little, thinking that he knew that the heavenly demon would be sending the bodyguard as a scout, as there is no way that someone as disciplined as the heavenly demon would be coming late because he is busy in another meeting. Just then, a walking sound distracted Ryu, and as Ryu turned back, it was none other than the heavenly demon himself. He, with a confident smile, said hello and introduced himself, saying he is Gyeong, the CEO of Heavenly Demon Company. The bodyguard followed him from behind. Heavenly Demon, maintaining his polite smile, came close to Ryu and extended his hand for a warm handshake. Ryu also extended his hand and shook Heavenly Demon's hand, still acting nervous and fumblingly introducing himself, saying hello, and his name is Ryu Min. Heavenly Demon told Ryu to have a seat, and Ryu said okay and sat down. Then Heavenly Demon instructed the bodyguard to sit. On the other hand, Ryu noticed that he was a major shareholder, so he could join this meeting. But Heavenly Demon, even without asking for his permission, gave permission to the bodyguard to sit in this meeting. That means his acting like a naive and submissive individual worked, and Heavenly Demon thinks that Ryu is a pushover. Then Heavenly Demon, with a warm and polite tone, gave a single command, and his servants started bringing dishes one by one. Heavenly Demon explained that they should eat breakfast before discussing business, as he had specially prepared delicious Korean food, hoping that it would suit Ryu's taste. On the table there was hot pot, sushi, sashimi, grilled meat, pickled vegetables, and many other delicious dishes. Heavenly Demon, laughing, said that any food served at a high-end hotel-like place would be tasty anyway, even before Ryu could comment on the food. Ryu, playing his role as a naive and loser, took a bite and said the food was really delicious. Heavenly Demon replied that he was really glad Ryu liked the food. As they had their breakfast, Heavenly Demon, after observing Ryu for a while, concluded that the bodyguard was right. Ryu indeed seemed naive and like a loser, and he was too young to have invested 280 billion won alone. Someone was definitely behind Ryu, pulling the strings. Heavenly Demon's face turned a little serious, and he started to wonder who would be behind Ryu. Would it be his brother or his uncle? Whoever it was, he had to get to the bottom of this. Then, Heavenly Demon, with a polite tone and a smile, asked Ryu about his age, wondering if Ryu would mind sharing it. Ryu, while taking a sip of water, replied that he turned 20 years old this year. Then, hearing this, Ryu just turned 20 years old this year. Heavenly Demon paused for a moment, trying to process what he just heard. He thought Ryu might be around 24, 26 years old. With a sweet face, still maintaining his polite tone and his warm smile, he replied that he himself is 29 years old. Seijay also is in his 20s, and he is really glad that he met Ryu today. Ryu replied that he is also happy to meet Heavenly Demon. Heavenly Demon, with a confident and dominant tone, asked Ryu if he doesn't mind telling how he had so much money at such a young age. Does Ryu perhaps come from a very rich family? Ryu, hearing this, thought Heavenly Demon is a straightforward person, as he directly came to the point without wasting any time. Then Ryu, maintaining his naive appearance while waving his hands and with a big smile, hearing this, Heavenly Demon once again paused for a moment in confusion, and with a confused face, he asked Ryu, what does he mean by until recently? Then Ryu asked Heavenly Demon if he perhaps heard how, in the news. Heavenly Demon was still confused, so Ryu then politely explained that he is talking about the news about the person who became a billionaire overnight by winning lottery tickets, first place numerous times. And because of this, the government banned the selling of lottery tickets. Hearing this, Heavenly Demon nodded and said he indeed heard about the news. Then Ryu, with a confident smile, said, well, that person is sitting right in front of you. as he is the one who won multiple lottery tickets until the government banned the selling of lottery tickets. Hearing this, both the heavenly demon and the bodyguard got bewildered. Their minds were blown with surprise, and they were in a state of shock. The heavenly demon asked Ryu if he was really the winner who shook the entire Korea, even the world. Ryu said yes, he is the exact same person. As the heavenly demon and Ryu were talking, the bodyguard was still too shocked to even say a word. Then, the heavenly demon, with a curious face, asked Ryu about the article and news that said Ryu won 60 billion from the lottery. He pointed out that the news mentioned Ryu wasn't rich and was a student a few months ago. He asked how Ryu got the rest of the money to invest. Ryu, while enjoying the delicious food, politely with a smile, explained that he invested the 60 billion won in Bitcoin. And then, when his investment matured, he multiplied his initial investment by 6. Hearing this, the heavenly demon asked if Ryu was really telling the truth, and Ryu affirmed that he was. Now the heavenly demon was at a loss for words and commented on how amazing Ryu was. He asked how Ryu even thought of investing such a big amount of 60 billion into Bitcoin so fearlessly, as he himself would never have the courage to do that. Then, the bodyguard finally spoke and said to Ryu that he must have been really lucky that his investment grew, calling it beginner's luck. But Ryu immediately denied that luck played a role and emphasized that he made the decision to invest in Bitcoin, knowing that it would rise. The bodyguard mentioned an article where Ryu claimed to have seen the lottery numbers in his dreams and asked if Ryu also saw that Bitcoin would rise in his dream and invested accordingly. He suggested that if that's not luck, then what is? But before he could finish his sentence, Ryu interrupted him. His face was no longer that of a loser or naive person. It turned serious. While glaring at the bodyguard, he said, "It's just a lie. I didn't see it in my dream." Hearing this, Heavenly Demon had a serious face as he asked if Ryu didn't see it in his dream, how he knew all the lottery numbers and knew Bitcoin would rise. Ryu paused for a moment, thinking that this is the only way to convince Heavenly Demon and get him on his side. Then Ryu, with a serious face and tone, said that it's his first time revealing this to anyone. Even his little brother doesn't know about it, but he has no other choice but to reveal it. As Ryu was telling all this, the bodyguard and Heavenly Demon were just listening with silent curiosity. Then, sitting like a king, holding both his hands with a mischievous smile, his whole body started to glow blue, and his eyes also started glowing blue. He explained that he has the skill Ruin of Future, and by using it he can see what will be happening in the future. Hearing this, the bodyguard and Heavenly Demon were stunned, with their mouths open. They didn't say anything for a few moments, trying to process what they had just heard, and Ryu just sat there, smiling. Now, Heavenly Demon and the bodyguard, after realizing what they just heard with their eyes wide, thought, how is this possible? What kind of explanation is this? Then Heavenly Demon, now a little panicked, asked Ryu, is Ryu being serious? Is Ryu telling the truth? Ryu still confidently explained, yes, I am telling the truth. Why would I lie about something this ridiculous? Heavenly Demon then asked, that means Ryu found out the winning lottery number using his skill, Future Sight. Ryu, now with a polite tone and warm body language, extending his hand, explained, that is correct. The reason I invested the 60 billion lottery winnings in Bitcoin is because I knew the Bitcoin price would rise. I saw it using my Future Sight. Only a pighead would put all 60 billion on Bitcoin just because they saw it in a dream. Heavenly Demon had a doubtful face and curiously asked Ryu, if Ryu doesn't mind, can Ryu use his skill right now and tell what Heavenly Demon's future will be like? What will happen after a few hours, for example, so that the doubt can get cleared? He still found it hard to believe what Ryu was saying. Ryu, hearing this, thought that as he had the inner thought skill, he could easily tell what would happen after a few minutes or hours by reading Heavenly Demon's mind. However, he was not going to do it because if he did, things would get complicated. Heavenly Demon would be calling him all the time, asking for predictions, and it would create many more problems. So Ryu decided to go with Plan B. He had a disappointed and worried face as he explained. First, he said he was really sorry because at this moment, he couldn't use his ability, Future Sight, at will. During the entire day, at random times, he gets visions of the future, and sometimes he sees visions in his dreams. So the thing that he saw, the lottery numbers in his dream, was not entirely a lie. There was some truth in it. He couldn't tell what would be happening just after a few hours. As Ryu was explaining this, Heavenly Demon, while taking a sip of water, thought that whatever Ryu was saying made sense. Just the skill to see the future is an overkill skill, and if one can watch what will happen in the future at will, they will be like a god. So it's natural that Ryu has a restriction like this. Just then, with a jolt of realization, a thought hit Heavenly Demon. He started a bit and then hurriedly asked Ryu if he invested his entire 280 billion in his company because Ryu saw in his vision that his company would grow in the future. Ryu replied, "Correct. He invested because he was sure his money would grow rapidly in the future, as seen in multiple visions. Heavenly Demon's companies were giving the highest returns." Hearing this, Heavenly Demon curiously asked if Ryu could clearly tell what he saw in his vision, how much his company would grow. Ryu, with a serious face, raised his hand and explained that he had only seen the future of a few years, and in just half a year, Heavenly Demon's company would become a top 10 company in all of Korea and be listed in the index. As Ryu was telling this, Heavenly Demon started to smile happily, with a wide smile that made his whole face sparkle and shine in excitement. He thought about the possibility of his small company becoming a top 10 company in just a few years. How great it would be if that really happened. If this became a reality, not only would his father acknowledge his abilities, but he could also become the next chairman. Reality hit him, and all his excitement evaporated. His face became a little worried as he thought he couldn't believe he got happy thinking that whatever Ryu was saying would come true. There's no guarantee that this will happen in the future, and his company will become a top 10 company. As Heavenly Demon was lost in deep thought, Ryu broke the silence by saying, "There is a little problem." In his vision, he saw Heavenly Demon on the top 10 company list, but that company was totally different from the current Heavenly Demon company. It meant they would have to make some changes inside the company. Hearing this, the bodyguard, while banging his hand on the table, started to scream and shout in anger, saying, "This is extremely unreasonable! How can they change what the company is doing? At this rate, Ryu might even tell us to change the name of the company." Seeing the bodyguard so angry, Heavenly Demon tried to calm him down, saying to stop screaming and stay calm. But before Heavenly Demon could calm the bodyguard down, Ryu said that if one is changing the business and industry, it's obvious that you have to change the company name as well. Hearing this, the bodyguard was at a loss for words in anger. He didn't like Ryu from the start, and hearing all this nonsense made his anger explode, and he started screaming at Ryu, saying he's a scammer. Now Ryu's patience was getting annoyed, seeing the bodyguard screaming at him. With a serious face and a deep tone, he said to the bodyguard, "Do you think I came all the way here to make joke?" Continuing with his serious face, he continued, saying to the bodyguard and Heavenly Demon and the bodyguard are also players, and they know how huge of a disadvantage and risk it is to reveal your skill to others like this. Heavenly Demon and the bodyguard just listened to Ryu with a little tense atmosphere with worried expression. Ryu continued to explain that despite this, he took the risk and revealed his power to complete strangers, as one can easily take advantage after knowing someone can see the future. He emphasized that if this information gets leaked, Ryu could even get kidnapped, tortured, or experimented on because this skill is really an overkill skill. Ryu only took this risk because he really wanted the company to grow, and that's why he invested 280 billion in the company. If Heavenly Demon truly wanted his company to grow, he had to listen to what Ryu was telling him and make changes inside the company. The worried bodyguard asked Heavenly Demon if he really believed what this Ryu guy was saying, and once again, the bodyguard started to say bad things about Ryu. Heavenly Demon just listened in silence with a serious face, glaring at Ryu with deadly eyes. Then, seeing Heavenly Demon not believing Ryu, with a disappointed sigh, he said, "It looks like Heavenly Demon and the bodyguard don't believe that Ryu can see the future." The bodyguard, with skeptical eyes, said, "Yes, he doesn't believe Ryu." Ryu turned his gaze toward the bodyguard and asked him a question, saying, "Has the bodyguard ever considered why Ryu moved to the same hotel as the bodyguard? Does the bodyguard think it's pure coincidence?" Hearing this, the bodyguard startled for a moment, and sweat started to come from his face. He paused for a moment, not knowing what to say. Just then, Heavenly Demon turned his gaze toward the bodyguard, and with a deadly look, he asked the bodyguard what Ryu was telling. "Same building, same hotel." He commanded the bodyguard to explain what Ryu was talking about. The bodyguard, still panicked and with a nervous face, explained that 2 months ago, Mr. Ryu moved into the house just below the floor where Miss Ah-rin was living. Ryu intervened, saying that after getting his skill, Future Sight, just a few days later, Ryu moved into the house below Ah-rin's and asked them to think why. Hearing this, Heavenly Demon got a little worked up, and raising his voice toward the bodyguard, he asked why the bodyguard was telling him this now. The bodyguard wouldn't say anything, and he started to fumble. As Ryu casually enjoyed his delicious breakfast, Heavenly Demon started to look at Ryu slightly differently and went into deep thinking mode. He began connecting all the dots, considering that if Ryu had known that his company would rise in the future, he might have moved into the same building where the bodyguard was living. Heavenly Demon thought that things might also be a pure coincidence, and just because Ryu moved into the same building as the bodyguard, it couldn't confirm that Ryu could indeed see the future. Ryu, with a mischievous smile, said, "Then?" Seeing Heavenly Demon's skeptical face, it seemed like he still didn't believe that Ryu could see the future. Then, Ryu dropped yet another bomb of information, saying, "I know one more thing. The hotel we are in right now, Heavenly Demon, is the owner of this place, right? And not only this, Heavenly Demon is the eldest son of the Oh-Sung Company, and he runs the company so that he could gain the acknowledgement of his father by growing his company. Am I correct?" Hearing all this, the bodyguard's mental wires seemed to break. Furious, he stood up from his chair and started yelling at Ryu, demanding to know who was behind him and pulling the strings. He emphasized that only Heavenly Demon's father and close relatives knew this information, and it was a top-secret matter that no one else should be aware of. Once again, Heavenly Demon maintained his cool and calm tone, asking the bodyguard to calm down. The bodyguard then apologized to Heavenly Demon, saying he was really sorry, though he still wore an angry expression. Heavenly Demon sat there silently, still deep in thought. After a while, Heavenly Demon, with a serious expression and maintaining his cool tone, said, "Ryu is correct, and all the information that Ryu told is correct, but it's still not enough to convince me that he can see the future. By seeing the future, Ryu could have obtained this information from those close relatives, and there's also an uncle of his who doesn't want Heavenly Demon to succeed, so he might be behind all of this. Yes, at this point, Heavenly Demon is suspecting that Ryu has been hired by someone to come into his company to hinder its growth. Changing the business industry and even the name of the company might have a negative impact, realistically speaking." As Heavenly Demon explained all of this, Ryu listened in silence. Heavenly Demon continued, "It's not that I don't believe that there can't be a skill that can show the future. If someone saw his company's future, and by following some steps, their company could grow easily. Why would I say no to company growth? But there are too many enemies of Heavenly Demon, so it's very hard to believe what Ryu is saying." Then Heavenly Demon thanked Ryu for investing in his company and said they should talk again in their next meeting, as he had to attend another meeting. With this, Heavenly Demon concluded that the meeting ends here. As he stood up from his chair, Heavenly Demon apologized to Ryu, saying he really is sorry for not believing Ryu's word, and they would meet soon. But before he could say anything further, Ryu stopped him. Heavenly Demon, with a startled expression, asked Ryu if there was something more that Ryu had to say. Ryu, now really annoyed, thought that there was only one way left to prove he could see the future. He turned his gaze toward Heavenly Demon and said he wasn't going to reveal this information because it was worth billions, but he had no choice but to say it to prove he wasn't some scam. He was going to share what would happen on the 4th floor. He had important intel on the 4th round. As soon as Heavenly Demon heard this, he was in shock and surprise. He once again sat in the chair, and the bodyguard remained silent. Heavenly Demon, still in shock, asked Ryu if he was telling the truth. Ryu replied affirmatively. Just a few days before, he saw in his vision the tragedy that would happen on the 4th round. With a confident smile on his face, Ryu explained that this information should be enough to prove that he could indeed see the future. Heavenly Demon didn't share the intel with Ryu to gain the trust of Heavenly Demon. The scene then shifts and a few minutes have passed. The bodyguard was apologizing to Heavenly Demon, expressing his regret for his behavior during the meeting when he got angry and shouted. Heavenly Demon turned toward the bodyguard with a polite smile and tone, and said that it was fine, as he understood that the bodyguard did it because of Heavenly Demon, not because he wanted to. So, it was okay. Then the bodyguard, a little hesitantly, said to Heavenly Demon that he wanted to say something if Heavenly Demon didn't mind. Heavenly Demon said, "Feel free to tell anything you want to say." The bodyguard, looking a bit worried, said, "To be honest, I'm still suspicious of that man, Ryu. Being able to see the future is too overkill. If he really has the skill, he can live his life like a king. So why on earth would he come and invest all his money in Heavenly Demon's company and help them?" Heavenly Demon, with his hand on his chin sitting elegantly, said, "Ryu said he wanted to grow along with his company, so if his goal is to earn money, it's justifiable." The bodyguard spoke once again, saying, "Even though he has 280 billion won, that's an amount even 10 people can live their entire lives like kings, and the amount will not get finished. So why would he go to this extent of investing his money and getting into trouble by growing the company?" Heavenly Demon said that amount must not be enough for him, so he invested to grow his money, as we all know how greedy humans are. The bodyguard, at this moment, was determined to prove Ryu wrong and said, "Even that, it's too risky to trust that Ryu." The bodyguard then replied, "Why the hell are you so annoying? Fuck off." Heavenly Demon replied that he totally agreed with what the bodyguard was saying, but if Ryu really can see the future, they have to do anything to get him on their team at all costs. While standing up from the chair, he explained to the naive bodyguard that thinking that if Ryu can really see the future, and if Ryu would give intel on every floor, it's just too much of a thing. Then, growing the company just by having Ryu with their company and their lives in future rounds will be more secure and safe. They could avoid future dangers. But the bodyguard, for God's sake, once again like a fucking tape recorder, asked, "Heavenly Demon," but still they are not sure if he really can see the future. With a confident smile, Heavenly Demon replied, "They will find out if Ryu was really telling the truth or not in time when they will enter round 4. Meanwhile, we see Ryu walking on the street, his hand in his pocket, looking like a prince. Ryu explained that after round 4 ends, Heavenly Demon and that annoying bodyguard will get convinced that he can indeed see the future. Then he can manipulate them, so his plan worked big time. Then, while looking at the hotel, Ryu says he didn't share extremely important information like side quests or any hidden and important information that will get them into top ranks. Then, we got a flashback where Ryu explains to Heavenly Demon that on round 4, there will be no quest related to killing monsters. In fact, there will not be a single monster present. There will be a massacre among players, and Heavenly Demon and the bodyguard must not be negligent of their surrounding. Now, back to the present, as Ryu was walking, he thought to himself that that should have been enough to prove that he can indeed see the future. And after round 4, they will start to treat Ryu differently. They will treat him with utmost respect and protect him because he can see the future, as no one would want an enemy who could see the future, right? Then Ryu took out his iPhone Ultra Pro Max Giga Chad edition and started to text someone, saying that it was finally time to meet her and start his second step of the plan. Then the scene shifts, and we see Juri walking on the street in a hurry, thinking she needs to hurry as at this rate she will be late. She was wearing a hot black mini skirt, a white shirt, and a brown coat. Juri was still a little panicked and nervous as she reached the zebra crossing. Seeing the red traffic light, she started to pray for it to change to green as she really didn't want to be late. She began to wonder why Ryu had called her in such a hurry, lost in her daydreaming. Just then, a red limited edition Lamborghini swiftly came to a stop just on the zebra crossing, right beside her father's store. Seeing it, Juri muttered, "What is wrong with this car? This car is blocking the storefront gate, and what kind of careless person would—" But before she could finish her sentence, the window of the Lamborghini slowly started to come down, revealing Ryu inside. With a warm smile, he waved and said hello to Juri, urging her to hurry up. Juri, seeing Ryu inside the Lamborghini, got a little startled and panicked, as just a moment ago she was about to say something bad about Ryu. As the traffic light turned green, Juri, still a little panicked, hurriedly ran toward Ryu's limited edition Lamborghini. She came close to the car's window, her face nervous and a little worried, and asked Ryu if this was his car. Ryu, maintaining his warm and polite tone with a confident smile, replied that yes, this was his car, and he was really sorry for parking it in front of her store. Ryu had parked the car there to pick her up. Now, at this point, Juri was taken aback and thought, "Can Ryu read his mind?" She replied that it's okay and she doesn't mind, and with that she entered the car. Afterward, within seconds, the Lamborghini whooshed, instantly accelerating. Juri, on the other hand, still felt a little nervous watching the outside view from the car. She said with a nervous smile that this is her first time riding a car like this. Ryu, on the other hand, also said it's his first time riding a car like this. She knows that just a few months ago, he was just a poor loser, so they are the same, and she can be a little more comfortable and not be nervous. Then Juri, now a little more comfortable, turned toward Ryu and asked him how much a car like this costs. She always wanted to own a car like this, but, well, it's just an unachievable dream. Ryu casually replied, "Not much, just around 900 million won." Hearing the words 900 million won, Juri was shocked and stammered, 9.900 million. Ryu was saying it's not much. Then she asked Ryu if he knows how many convenience stores she could open with 900 million won. If her family didn't eat anything for 30 years and only saved money, even after that, it would be nearly impossible to get so much money. Ryu, casually driving with concentration, replied that compared to the money he earned from the lottery, this much is not much for him, so it's okay. Juri, on the other hand, hearing this while enjoying the view, thought that he's right. Ryu is no longer that pathetic loser who used to get bullied. He is a changed man now, and on top of that, He is a rich guy with a whopping 60 billion won to his name. Now she feels like they live in different worlds, and Ryu is going further and further from her. Then suddenly, a thought came to Juri's mind, and she got a little shy and flustered. While holding her hair, she thought that the way they are on a ride together, all dressed up, it definitely feels like a date, and she is kind of feeling a little shy. Just then, Ryu silently said, "Honestly, there is something that Ryu needs to confess to Juria." Hearing the word confess, it was enough to blow Juria's mind. Her whole face turned red, and her brain seemed to short-circuit. Smoke started to overflow from her head like a volcano eruption. Now Juria's whole face was red. Her vision was becoming blurry, and she was all sweaty. With a trembling and shaky voice, she asked, "What? Confess. She is not ready for that yet. She needed to be mentally prepared for that," she muttered. And Ryu, seeing Juria like that, at this point, Ryu also heard what Juria was thinking because of his skill, inner thought skill. Ryu also became a little nervous, and he said, "It is nothing weird to confess, and it's not what Juria was thinking, so not to misunderstand it." Juria instantly came back to her senses, saying, "Misunderstood? What is Ryu talking about?" She waved her hand and said, "It was just that something went into her eyes, so she was acting that way." But deep inside, she was so embarrassed that she wanted to jump out of the car window or hide in a rat hole. After that, as the situation became a little more normal, Ryu said, "He told Juria that an old man on a pig on his head came to his dream and told him about the lottery number, right? That's how Ryu won the lottery." Juria replied, "That is correct. That's what Ryu told her." But then Ryu said, "Actually, that's not true." And he admitted that he had lied. Hearing this, Juria was a bit taken aback and confused at first. Ryu continued to explain that in reality he got the information about the winning lottery number from his skill. He explained that he has the skill of future sight, and because of that skill, Ryu occasionally gets visions of future events. That's how Ryu found out about the winning lottery number, but it's totally random, and Ryu can't see any specific future he wants to see. Sometimes, Ryu sees weird visions like the color of his neighbor's underwear or other strange things. Hearing this, Juri excitedly started clapping and congratulated Ryu, saying Ryu really got a cool skill. And just on top of that, Ryu's class is a totally unique class. Ryu, well, he may be the god of death, but he is indeed a virgin loser in front of a girl when he knows she likes him. So, with a sweet smile, he replied, "It seems like it is, but his skill is not so great as it doesn't help him in battle, and his combat is really weak." Then Juri, feeling more comfortable in front of Ryu now, said, "It's nothing like this. Ryu might get intel or vision of what might happen in future rounds, and by using that knowledge he can survive." Juri thanked Ryu for telling her the truth, and she was really happy that Ryu trusted her to reveal his secret. Just then, Juri, even more excited, said, "Since Ryu told me about his secret, I also want to share some of my secrets." Ryu, hearing this, tried to say it's okay, but even before Ryu could say anything, Juri started talking about her secrets. She explained that during the first round, she got the skill Protection. Using her skill, she could either boost others' stats or boost her own stats. She explained that if there are 5 people within a 10-meter radius around her, she would be able to cast 5 layers of a barrier and boost herself, making her even stronger. So the more people around her, the stronger she become. Ryu just listened to all of this with a smile. Finally, after she was done explaining, Juri turned her gaze toward Ryu with a big smile and said that she feels really great to share her skill with someone she can trust. She's really happy. Ryu just laughed a little, not knowing what to say, as he already knew everything about her skill from his past life. Then Juri asked Ryu, "But why did you suddenly tell me all about your skills and secrets?" Ryu explained that keeping it a secret from a friend was bothering him, and he also felt like Juri wouldn't tell her about his skills. Hearing this, Juri, a little surprised, asked Ryu if there was something more he wanted to tell her. Ryu proceeded to explain everything that was going to happen in round 4, confirming that Juri was right. He had indeed seen a vision of what would occur in round 4. He shared all the details with Juri about round 4. Hearing this, Juri was shocked and exclaimed in surprise, "Is Ryu telling the truth? Is that what's going to happen in round 4? Ryu, with a serious expression, confirmed that it was true and warned Juri to be alert at all times, as there was no telling what the other players might do in round 4. Juri replied with determination, "Okay, I will." Then Juri, looking outside the window with a warm smile on her face, relieved and very happy, began to think and thank Ryu silently in her mind. She felt truly grateful to Ryu for sharing everything about round 4 out of concern for her safety, so that she could survive round 4 without any serious injuries. Later, Juri, feeling a bit shy, slowly turned her head toward Ryu and took a thoughtful glance at him. She wondered whether Ryu might have some feelings for her, and if that was why he was worried about her. Or maybe Ryu was doing it simply because they were friends. Whatever the reason, Juri secretly hoped that one day Ryu would develop feelings for her. While she was lost in these thoughts, Ryu continued to drive the car, unintentionally overhearing everything Juri was thinking because of his skill in her thought. The scene shifts, and we see Ryu now sitting on his bed while holding his iPhone Ultra Max Giga Edition, looking at Juri's photo. Ryu was really in serious mode. He was also a little nervous, thinking he had no idea Juri had feelings for him. Now he realized that in his past life, whatever the situation was, Juri always helped him, and sometimes she even sacrificed herself to save Ryu. Now he realized why, because Juri always liked Ryu from the bottom of her heart. After that, Ryu closed his phone, placed it beside him on the bed, prepared his pillow, and went to sleep. He thought he didn't have time to think about feelings and love now. He would when the right time came. For now he had to do everything to protect everyone he cared for, and for that, he had no luxury for something like love. Then, just like that, time flew by and the day came March 31st. It was 11:55 p.m., just 5 minutes more before starting round 4. Ryu, lying on his bed, was browsing the store, searching for equipment. He bought shadow gloves of darkness, which were of epic grade. Its ability was that after wearing it, the glove would become transparent at night, and whatever weapon the wearer would be holding would become semi-transparent. It would also increase strength and agility by 5 points. Ryu, in deep thought, was now fully prepared, as this glove would play a great role in round 4, and he was really excited for this round. As Ryu was in his deep thinking, there was a knock at the door. Ryu turned toward the door, and it was none other than our adorable Wani. He was a little scared and worried, and he asked Ryu if it was almost time. Then Wani came close to Ryu, saying if Ryu was fully prepared and would Ryu be able to complete this round. Ryu, on the other hand, to tease Wani, said Wani will find out once Ryu enters round 4. Wani, still worried, said that when Ryu told him that his unique skill was to see the future, he was really happy, thinking that using this skill, Ryu would be able to clear all the floors without dying. But now that the time has come, he is really worried. Ryu said that seeing the future and acting according to it are totally different things. Hearing this, Wani got even more scared and panicked, saying Ryu has to come back alive at any cost. Ryu teasingly told Wani not to say unlucky stuff like that, as it's a death flag right there. They continued to chat for a while, and now only a few seconds were left. Ryu slowly closed his eyes, thinking that this round is indeed tough, as it is called the death round. Then, as Ryu finally closed his eyes, we are shown that everyone arrived at round 4. Youngman was standing in frustration, holding his head because the system once again notified him that, because of the penalties, all his stats were permanently decreased by 50%. Youngman, a little panicked, grinding his teeth, thought he can't believe this is the result of betraying the muscle head. On top of that, now he didn't even have his 10 commands to use in round 4. Still panicked, Youngman started looking left and right, trying to find if there was any person or his former friends hiding or planning to kill him to become the next zone leader. A son of his friend even warned him that he would kill Youngman in round 4. But then, as Youngman looked around him and looked up, he got bewildered and surprised. The entire place was built with a material full of white. There were weird structures floating in the sky, but everything was white. Seeing this, Youngman got even more panicked, thinking, what the hell kind of quest will be taking place in this weird place? As far as he could see, there was nothing but whiteness, and all the white color around him made him feel like he was a lab rat, and someone was observing him from above. Just then, Youngman's attention turned toward Ryu, and seeing him, he got more frustrated, thinking all this is happening because of that bastard Black Scythe. That wicked devil knew what the penalty of breaking the crystal was, which is why he didn't break it himself but used him and his friends. On top of that, Black Scythe also single-handedly killed that divine punisher like it was nothing. Now glaring at Ryu like a hungry dog, Youngman thought, only if he would be powerful enough, he would beat the shit out of that fucker's face now. He was grinding his teeth and clutching his hands. He said to himself that he can't do anything, and it's really frustrating. He didn't have any other choice, but at least he wanted to save his life. And to do that, if he had to shake hands with the devil, he had to do it. Then, Youngman slowly walked toward Ryu, saying his name, and Ryu turned back and asked in a deep voice, What is it? Youngmin, now with a polite and respectable tone, asked Ryu if their agreement from the last round still stands, as Ryu himself had said that he would guard Youngmin's ass if he becomes Ryu's subordinate and does whatever Ryu says. So he did whatever Ryu told him to do in the last round. Ryu, hearing this, gave a slight laugh, saying that yes, he did remember saying that, but he didn't need a subordinate anymore. Youngmin explained that he didn't even have the command skill anymore. So what's the point of keeping a zone leader without the command skill? It's like having a dog who doesn't bite, and he doesn't need a dog without its claws and teeth. Not to mention, most of the players now have gotten their classes, so even if Youngmin did have his command skill, he still wouldn't need him, as the command skill doesn't work on players with class. Hearing this, Youngmin was speechless, not knowing what to do. Ryu, with a warm and bright smile, said, "You no longer hold any value, so you can go and fuck off." Hearing this, Youngmin got devastated, his whole face turned pale, and fear was all over his face. He thought that now everyone would be targeting him to become the next zone leader, and while he's in this state, he can't do anything. It's karma for him. So with this, the episode ends here. Right hash Youngmin is fucked up, and part 15 inches the comments. See you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.